It's so great to see you all here tonight. Thanks for coming. We deserve a night of poetry. We deserve a night of spring weather after all we've been through in the Boston area this year. I want to particularly thank Dan Sawyer, who just spoke with you, for his contributions to the Poetry Festival. He's really the one behind all the logistics, the communicator with all the mentors and the poets, and he pulls it all together. So Dan, thank you very much. And like him, I really want to express not only welcome and congratulations to our student poets, but a real note of appreciation for the mentors, those who couldn't be with us for their hard work with the students and the selecting of them, but especially those who are with us tonight in the audience for, coming tonight, showing support for the student poet that you nominated. They couldn't have done it without you, and we couldn't have an evening like this without your hard work. So student poets, thank your mentors. It's my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Jill McDonough, current director of the MFA program at UMass Boston. Jill epitomizes really the kind of keynote speaker that we love to have, someone who's a prolific and accomplished writer herself. She's the author of the poetry collections Habeas Corpus, O. James, and Where You Live. She's received fellowships from the National Endowment for the Arts, the Fine Arts Work Center, the New York Public Library, the Library of Congress, and Stanford's Stegner Program. Her work has appeared widely in journals such as Poetry, Slate, The Nation, the Threepenny Review, and collections like Best American Poetry. And she's not only this accomplished and prolific and productive writer, but she's a poet who has worked with students across the levels, from undergraduate to graduate, and various community populations, and has taught for years before going to UMass Boston in BU's Poetry in the Prison program. And so she's really the kind of poet who is involved at every level in her community and with students in, keeping the art vital and alive and in touch with its roots. So please join me in welcoming Jill McDonough.
I love this. I love getting to talk to you guys because you're my people. I've never made a speech before where I wrote it down and then I'm going to read it to you. I usually just talk or read poems. But I wanted the formality of this occasion to serve as a way for me to say something that I think is important to you. And it's small, but I'm going to repeat it a lot. And I'm going to provide a lot of examples so that I hope it does something useful for you. I was working on this talk at the library where I like to write, the Boston Athenaeum. I like to pack my computer and my water bottle and take the Orange Line to Chinatown and pick up a spicy tofu banh mi and a durian shake and read and write all day on the 5th floor. Sometimes I take a break and eat my sandwich, or just stare out the window at the clouds, or watch the light change on the steeple of the Park Street Church. On the 5th floor, no one is allowed to talk out loud, and there's a little kitchen where you can stash your lunch, and oriental rugs, and marble busts, and everybody happily doing their own work in crisp silence by the windows. And everything smells like books. So I was working there, but my computer was out of power and I forgot my cord. I remembered my vegan banh mi, but I forgot my board. I asked the librarians, I don't mean to brag, but I know all the librarians, and nobody had one. But they hooked me up with stationery and old card catalog cards. So I figured I'd make some notes on the cards and give an old-timey keynote address. I knew what I wanted to say to you, and here it is. You can just listen to this part and then zone out for the rest. You can zone out, you can work on a draft, you can panic about how your reading is going to go, you can scope out the room and think about who's cute, who you want to go out with, who's going to be a friend of your writing life forever. My best friend, Maggie Dietz, is here, and she has been a friend of my writing life since I moved to Boston in 1998. So find your person and hold on tight. Here's the thing. You have already figured out how to have a rich life. You guys have already won. Somehow we have convinced ourselves that people like to scoff at poets, that people shake their heads and say nobody reads poetry, or what's the point of that, or there's no money in it. I am here to tell you, nobody ever acts like that with me. Nobody ever really says dumb stuff like that. Even though in my daily life, I am constantly being introduced as a poet. I can't hide from it, but everybody I meet thinks being a poet is awesome. It's not other people, it's us who are scared, who ask, who reads poetry and is poetry dead? It's us who worry the real people think poetry is dumb. I gave an interview to a magazine recently, and the young woman who was interviewing me is a writer, and she did great, but one of the questions she asked was, why should people care about poetry? Why should people care about poems? At first I was offended. I was thinking like, look, sweetheart, you asked to interview me. I'm not out there with a sandwich board like telling people they should care. This is you. But then, because I am old and smart, I started to realize the question isn't about me and isn't even a real question. This young writer was scared that's what other people would ask. Some imaginary real person out there who scoffs at poetry, who thinks the arts are dumb because there's no money in it. I asked her about it, and she admitted that she is afraid people ignore poetry and wanted me to help. She wanted a poet to stand up for poetry. But nobody needs to stand up for poetry. It's fine. Nobody really asks questions like that. I never meet someone at a party or on a plane and hear, you write poems? What's the point? You can tell it isn't a real question because if you heard it in real life, it would be unpardonably rude. You're a plumber? What's the point? You're an insurance agent? What's the point? You're a parent, a banker, a dance instructor, a gardener? What's the point? Forget it. Not a real question. It's a made-up question built on artists' insecurities. Yawn. It's a boring question. It's invented. Next. Let's stop getting in our own way. Don't ask dumb, time-wasting questions like who reads poetry and is poetry dead when you could be, wait for it, writing poems or hanging out with poets. You could hang out with Maggie Dietz. You could find your own Maggie Dietz and you could hang out with them all the time. You were allowed to quit because you find something better, but you are not allowed to stop writing poems because you were afraid someone is going to think it's dumb someday. You're not allowed to quit because you're scared. You're not allowed to quit because your friends who work 70 hours a week in investment banking make fun of you for wasting 1 second on your writing or anything that isn't making money. You can write beautiful poems for them when they are incarcerated for insider trading. Okay, there's no money in poetry. Yes, true, thank you. Why would you bring it up? It's like telling someone who is a great dancer there's no money in it. Or someone you always love to see at parties. There's no money in charm. Okay, sort of true, sort of false. Totally not the point of charm, or dance, or poetry, or art at all. And that's one of the things I love about it, because everything else in America gets a dollar value. But poetry, like friendship, like light, is just value added. It doesn't pay much because it doesn't cost you much. It gives, and it gives, and it gives. One of the things I do is teach poetry in prisons. And the inmates bitch and moan because I make them learn dactyls and iambs and write in meter. But then suddenly they are able to pour themselves into a meditative task, to do something with their minds that comes out exactly right on the page. You have already learned this satisfaction, to make a small thing just how you want it. That's a big part of how you have already figured out how to have a rich life, how you have all already won. Another way that you have already won is you get to be friends with poets. Poets are funnier than regular people. They pay better attention. Another way that you have already won is that you get to walk around with these poems and snippets of poems in your head, helping you make sense of the world. The same world everyone else is in, only you have a sort of guide. Your world is annotated by great poets. Everyone gets lost, but we get lost in Elizabeth Bishop's The Art of Losing. Everyone hits middle age, if they're lucky, but we hit it with Dante. Midway on our life's journey, I found myself in dark woods, the right road lost. Everyone worries about money, but we get Mary Jones' soliloquy on an empty purse. Snug shalt thou travel through the mob, for who a poet's purse would rob? Here's the thing about money. Everybody worries about money. Poor people, rich people, poets, management consultants. There's no easy ticket out of that worry. So you might as well be a poet. The people with the money are sorry they don't know more about contemporary poetry. They ask me to send them some. They love it when I post my work or my friends' work on Facebook. My rich friends collect my books and pass around my drafts. When you're a poet, it's like you're a unicorn or a fairy princess to these people. When really all you ever did was like writing. You like to write by yourself on the 5th floor of the Athenaeum. Here's one last way that we have won. When I was on the 5th floor of the Athenaeum with my pen and my little lined yellow cards making notes for my old-timey keynote address, my friend Lauren texted and said she was going to write at the Athenaeum too, and would I like to get a martini afterward? We are friends because she is a writer, and I read her work online, and I emailed her a fan letter. Now she's a magazine editor, and she just published a poem I wrote about our favorite dive bar, which is next to a car wash. So I texted her back, and I said, OMG, do you have a spare MacBook cord? And she showed up 20 minutes later with it in her hand, walking toward me, holding it up under the 30-foot coffered ceilings of the Boston Athenaeum. Both of us trying not to laugh out loud on the silent 5th floor. Then I wrote up this speech for you, and we went out for perfect martinis. A perfect martini is stirred, and it's equal parts sweet and dry vermouth. It's very important. I'm going to finish with one of my own poems, which is kind of tacky, but it's relevant. Here's another relevant and tacky poems by Jill McDonough. This is a little trope that I'm going to give you. A lot of people can be like, you hear a little phrase and you're like, hey, that's a great band name, or hey, that's a great stripper name. But it could be a great name for a book of poems. Like, I'm 24 years old, somebody give me an enema. Poems by a good friend of mine who shall remain nameless. Relevant and tacky poems by Jill McDonough. It's called An Hour with an Etruscan Sarcophagus. You may have seen Etruscan sarcophagi. They're carved stone coffins, famous for having really lifelike, contented faces on them. There are some at the MFA. They're from 350 BC, but they look like your parents. I mentioned Josie in it. Josie is a bartender who works really hard, and I am married to her. An Hour with an Etruscan Sarcophagus. Not the carved seals or gold libation cups, mummies, alabaster urns. 2 minutes alone with this Etruscan sarcophagus, and I'm in tears. Nobody saw. I totally got away with it. Something about the stonecutter's wife, I think. Not the rich couple together in stone forever. Not even the man who carved the jowly face. The woman's hands on her husband's chest. Chest doughy, even carved in stone. But the wife, who knows they don't get an Etruscan sarcophagus. That even though her Etruscan husband carves them, they can't have this softening of death, this consolation prize. Last week, midnight in a friend's kitchen, I burst into tears over what I don't get. Wished aloud I'd gone to Goldman Sachs after college. How then Josie wouldn't have to work. Rachel put her arms around me, said, shh, said, Jill, you've made all the right choices. You've done everything just right. I'm always wishing for more money, new sighting, just one job, a week off for Josie, off her feet. But today, fresh from the Etruscan sarcophagi, I'm bigger. Wish for all of us, for you, for the stonecutter's wife, for your children's children, such a friend in such a kitchen, such a crying jag. An hour with an Etruscan sarcophagus to think it all over. Write it down. Write it down. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Lily Lyons. I'm from Berklee College of Music, and this first poem I'm reading is called Metamorphosis. I know that when they say metamorphosis, they're imagining caterpillars and butterflies and Kafka, but really all it is one day when you look into your mirror and the face looking back at you is not your face. Tear your clothes from their hangers and try to burn the sweet smell out of them, that lingering vagueness that is not your smell but sticks to your skin nonetheless. And when you cut your finger tidily in the kitchen, that blood welling up is not your blood, but the blood of some faster, crueler creature who bleeds incoherent blue. And what else can you do but find the Band-Aids and trust those fingers that have become eerily adept at bandaging wounds at some point when you weren't watching? Pull the blankets over your face and try to still the thoughts that fly through your mind, faster than the laws of psychology, buoyancy, or gravity, thoughts that are not your thoughts yet. My second poem is called Sex Prep. 11:30 p.m. and you send me a text that you need a little more time. I say, it's okay, I'll take a shower, because this is sex prep, and I'm sure that a little more time doesn't mean time to read Kant or ponder the ineffable meaning of life. No, you're going to spend this half an hour with mint gum in your mouth, razoring the minefield of your cheek, and cajoling your hair to swoop nicely to the side. I yelp under the cold from the shower head, but I read somewhere that cold water makes hair shine, and I need that, for surely these things are the difference between getting laid and not getting laid. What if you stand on the threshold of my room and want none of it because I forgot to shave the upper right side of my left leg? But you are on your way, and I need to get dressed to be undressed, so I fidget to make sure my shirt reveals, casually, a sliver of my shoulder, and tear through my laundry to find that pair of underwear that are sheer with a little lace but not too oversexed. I still haven't put on chapstick or brushed my teeth when your fingers tap on the door. I'm shaking all over and glistening a little with sweat, afraid I'll trip over my words, but you are too. And when I let you in and melt against the goodness of your skin, none of this really matters. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Christine Degenars. I go to Boston College. Before I started, I wanted to thank Professor John Anderson for all of his help with all of these poems. This is from a series. It's called When the Roses Bloom Again. April moon, Mr. Lincoln, bare root, all cold, leftover thorns and frozen dirt. I haven't been out there since November. I haven't raked through the earth coated the creases in my knees with dark soil, molded those lines into twist tie wire. I can see my garden through the back window, the one by the TV that still sits lopsided from when an old screw came loose. I can see it now, the corner slightly unhinged, 2 inches lower than the other side. I told Jackson to fix it. I'll tell him again. My roses are better up close. In the spring, I can clean off their stems, letting the Tennessee clay slip from them and down the sink. It's been months since the last one bloomed and was brought inside, but I can still see the dirt it held. It's hemmed close to the pink flesh under my fingernail, just deep enough that I can't reach it. This morning, I wanted to go to the yard and pick through the dead stems and branches that lingered on through the cold. I wanted to clip through their skins, break through their bark, and see for myself what hid in their insides. I don't know why I didn't go, but I didn't, and now it is dark, too dark for gardening. Jackson's playing the blues again. I can hear him in the other room singing over the voices that hum like passenger trains, the kind that carry people that I love far from me. He loves the way that sounds, the way Betsy Smith can say things I felt but won't tell him, that I've known by the texture of their thorns and the scars they've left behind on my insides. I wish it were spring again, and I could place April moon by the window. I would let the white petals match the color of the streetlights and reflect their many faces in the faucet metal. They're beautiful, he would say, walking in from the living room. Then he'd wrap his arms around my shoulders and neck from behind, and I would feel the light itch of tender hair against my clavicle. Against my ear, he would say it again. They're beautiful. And this time, he wouldn't be looking at the roses, but at me. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Nicole Warner, and I'm from BU, and this is a poem in a series of poems on fear, and this one is called Aphitophobia, and it's Aphitophobia 2. I hang my cotton bed sheets on my bedroom wall like a child who found her first snakeskin atop the hill where her sister runs from collared dogs, perhaps coyotes. I hang my blood-soaked bedsheets on my bedroom wall like that child, in awe of the decaying shed to release the stained, the ingrained. I hang my blood-covered sheets on my bedroom wall in protest of the man behind the fingers held to lips, silencing my laughter, stifling my energy, quieting me as a whole. I hang my blood-covered sheets on my bedroom wall in protest of the man behind the fist slammed on kitchen tables, telling me to control my emotions, in protest of the man behind the outstretched palm, urging me to take the pill. I hang my blood-covered sheets on my bedroom wall in protest. Where's your makeup? You look old today, tired today, worked too hard today, trapped your voice in a cage today, and spoon-fed simple crackers, simple air, simple words, simple words, simple words. The shirt I have just rebuttoned, unbuttoned those fingers. I am face to face with the basement floor. That boot too dirty, too pretty for women who take scissors to the plains of childbearing hips, for little girls who spend hours in front of the mirror scrubbing off bruises. I hang my blood-covered sheets on my bedroom wall in protest of every man with a fear of snakes. The blood runs down my wall and grinds into the cotton with the push and the pull of the moon, the strength and the release. Our power remains in the blood, cultivated and throbbing with the momentum of the hate you push towards us, with the energy you have placed in all the wrong places. Our power remains in the blood, dark and warm, staining the pavement. I hope for open eyes, deny you, and I breathe. A strengthened Medusa with each skin shed.
Hi, my name is Rhoda, and I'm from Brandeis. This poem is called Ways to Survive Toxic Waste. The night our father chose to beat us with curtain rods, we ran, mice in the sudden bloom of light. He followed, a calm pace, flexed his rod hand. The ugly gray and purple kitchen curtain fell. Honey light spilled into the street. I stopped my running, faltered before the window, levered its thick cloth from its dusty pool, arms above my head, my body a large Y. The rod cracked on my back. My exposed body hid his dirty secret. We could have been saved. Maybe someone would have called the police. You could call the police on your own family? All that you have mooring you to this foreign state? Yes, when I could stand the rounds no longer. Another way is to take the beatings yourself, alone in the living room suddenly not big enough. When you can stand being lone target no longer, call your sisters out of the bathroom, your face red at the end of your slender neck curled around the door. A third way is to stand like picketers, blocking the narrow hallway, watching until you could place between the white flashing hanger and his small body, your body, until you resolved that witnessing was not the right thing to do. Then you could not feel the pain. Nonviolence was not yet a choice. As days, it still slams into you, the guilt. The moments begged to stop without risking your own body. It bends you over, fondles your heart, and you, bent into an L, stare at the orderly gray tile and hold the cold, white dormitory sink. I have a second quick poem. It's called Winter of the World, and this poem is not for Dimitri. Like the angels, silent. They did nothing, the witnesses, nothing. Who was there? Who was there to say I was wrong? I was hurting myself. He was going to hurt me. Who was there? Not I, not I. In my state, quivering with it like this, don't touch me. Not all houses of love teach to leave them. Hold me when I ask. I need to know what love is, what it is like. I see a man walking in his striped sweater. Please be the person I need. These are simply the days you have. Thank you.
Hey all. My name's James Holbert. I'm from Bridgewater State. And this poem is called In His Own Poem. My friend said he's got dreams under his hat, which I've rarely seen him remove. I know he's bald, and I've taken the time to think, does he know that this has real-world significance? I can't help but picture myself skateboarding barefoot, and I don't even skateboard, or like to feel sad, or think that maybe I'm too good for paying for blueberries that cost too fucking much. When I have that picture, that friend is never there. His name is Chris. I can't do things. In the picture, college has happened, and the hill is steep, and I'm passing by everything in a still goddamn picture. And I know the only way to stop is to leap off into the nearest lawn, fall flat, where I can live in a house of youths like me, to be better than good friends with. And on green grass days, I could have no problem telling them about the cigarette burn I gave myself right on my second knuckle because I got too drunk and stopped thinking about things. Thank you.
Hi. My name is Oso James O'Connell. I go to Emerson College, and my first poem is called In Potosi. Candles are cheap here, like coca or rubbing alcohol, dynamite or teeth. All day the widows pass through the square that was once paved with silver, carrying potatoes for dinner. Mornings the miners climb into the pits, scraping for scraps of silver and zinc. Us in the mountain they call mother. Us gringos pass through the mines as if drawn by a tram to El Tío. He looks strangely Spanish with his kept facial hair and the cigarettes left burning in his mouth. His cock, red, erect, peeks from a pile of coca leaves. We all laugh, taking sips of rubbing alcohol, then pour the rest on his horns. Some women pretend to stroke his penis, posing for photos on phones. This mountain was never just a mountain. Before measles, crucifixes, iron collars, gunpowder, there was just a man trying to keep warm, watching silver trickle into veins. At night, the city bathes in yellow. The mountain glows fluorescent white, and the last of the stars drown in the smoke of burning trash. El Tío is laughing at the cigarettes we put in his mouth, shaking the hollow bones of the mountain. And I have one more. This one is called Europa in the Bowl. He was white like moonlight or an apple cracked open and said nothing, only smelling of burned rosemary, dipping his head for me to ride. You don't say no to a God. You can't say no to a God. You grab the scruff of his neck and hold on as he takes you back to his mother's house to whisper promises while he drags his fat tongue down your thigh. He was my first and unable to stroke my breasts, only drive into me from behind, ignoring the salty red river pooling at my knees. That night I dreamt the continents were women, gnashing their teeth, standing together over a broken pomegranate.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm from Harvard. I'm going to read a different poem that's also about a fish, but not the poem in there, which is without a fish. Okay. Maybe I'll read a second poem if I have time. This is called Adiabatic. Down the sink. Rushed water funnels after fish entrails, or grease gives a type of collapse inward, frying in a pan fennel seasoned. An equation equates oil and flowers, fields and division. Descent is a disintegration by parts. What is missing? I want to peer down at myself from above and point out algae. How my grandfather took me to the pond for the gutting of it. One blink's worth too much. Why isn't there more inside? Why isn't there more to bleed, protrude, be stripped? All these still stalks come from somewhere. Fennel was a field, was a marathon, was a death in a field under clouds of phosphate. I slice a fish sideways, and I grasp at the inside. Now things go quickly. Death is its own mass and caves in time toward the event, and viewed from without, each second slows to a whisper, never to cross over. Here. Here seem all horizons to end the same. Bundled up in one ribbon tucked between the teeth and tongue. And this poem is not about a fish. As the fourth movement of the Fauré Requiem was sung at my grandfather's funeral, because I asked, and I didn't attend for my father, turned from the faith. When we sang the offertory as children, it was demanded we live the text. hearing the tritones resolved into as if they were solid bodies to be crushed against our turning selves in sex, fascinated by the play of tenor and alto lines indistinguished by tone, clear enough to let through an illusion, staggered by a phrase. As my teacher explained, she hated the B-flat nocturne, found it empty and monochromatic, except when she had the surgery on her back, and laid up in the hospital bed, could not feel her breath through the horror, fire raised up in her vertebrae. That was when she put it on, to bring a kind of death in life, where a mesmerized mind was led away from itself, to chromatic, stacked up chords which blotted out the pain or contained it or uncolored it. I watched her go away without recognizing. As for Nietzsche, in his syphilis suffering, who could sit at a piano for several hours without a spasm, hearing some word to suspend him at the edge of the abyss that swallowed everything in his stomach and let out nothing, tell me again. The first summer it came, I played the chords for half the days until my father was ready to beat me. But my grandfather delighted, stunned at the sudden white stem of my torso. In the convulsed movement, I had displayed a parallel major, smoothing physicality, hearing the absorbeat tartarus and the organ textured into glittering strings. I remember almost nothing of my childhood.
Hi, I'm Jessica Bouchard. I'm from LaSalle College, and I have 2 poems. One of them is called Molotov Cocktail. A throwaway comment, a trail of acid like vodka down my throat. An ambiguous face, my stomach is water, emotion is a capsule, fizzing contentiously as it meets. The raucous gurgling sends my heart skittering like a dried leaf across asphalt. A voice, riddled with mysterious notes, like mold sinking its roots, rotting roots in a fruit, causing ruin in the meat and in myself. I can taste the sour grain of my own decay. I am an angry drunk, sloshing with the searing alcohol I have fermenting within me. You tried to smother the problem, shoving a thick fabric of false words and quick pleasantries down my throat. I am absorbed. I am calm. A glance, and I am gone. I set the fabric ablaze, throw myself onto you, the festering stew, hugging the flames as it bursts forth from that wreckage, burning you, me, in this pseudo-world that I'm not sure whether you've made or I did. I keep you close, closer than you'll ever know, for we are not bound by mere flesh and spoken effects, entangled, strangled, and mangled by each other's throes, but I keep you further than you expect. I do not keep you in my heart as songs of yore and idols tend to. It is weak as a dandelion, quiet and carefree, ripped to shreds to the wind by the storm that is you. No, you are not there in me. I do not keep you in my lungs so I may inhale you always like the pleasing smoke of cigarettes. They are useless since you've left me achingly breathless, like the stone that keeps watch over those bereft of life's caress. No, not there. That would be best. I do not keep you in my stomach, always full of you like water to the ocean. It is too thin, like precious gossamer, to contain your beastly way. It would fray away to ruin from your explosive devotion. No, I do not hold you there. That is not where you stay. You are seared into me like a calf branded for slaughter, forever etched into this ragged heap of mine. You are my executioner. I kiss, worship, and pray to your acts, my heavenly, unholy shrine. Yes, I keep you close, like a blade to the throat, and also far away, like a disciple from the divine. Thank you.
I'm Ethan Hamby from Mass College of Art. My first poem is called Hunting. If your ears are hungry enough, follow the imprints of sonorous memory through cobbled trails of noise. Bend down to the earth and build a trap resurrected from a tired snare. Stretch your membrane tightly between 4 trees like a trampoline. Rattle out the stones and the pine straw. Pile bones and fur over your shoulder. Pound for pound, become weightless. Taste everything, but swallow only the heartbeat. Before the run. The night is sugared with wafts of snow, a field of huskies pacing, chains clanking against collars, their howls and glowing eyes determined to run, my heart barking. I aim the sled down trail, untangle yards of frozen rope, 8 dogs now harnessed in position, they bay, jump, and bite. Anxious for my command, snapping fiercely at their partners. All of my weight presses down on the metal-toothed brake. I reach behind my Arctic boots and pull the wooden release. Now facing forward into the dark, bowing trees. From the depth of my belly, a guttural shout, ready, hike.
Hello, my name is Simon Wilson. I'm from New England Conservatory, and I'm going to read a series of poems. I would really appreciate if no one claps in between, just to keep the momentum and the rhythm. Number 1. Of things not said, I said some, sad ones. Think of one, but always too late. Conversations not had, on hold. Maybe monologues, dialogues of one fractured existence. A fraction of one and 2 who hold others. Thoughts of 3 who will remember. Of things said, I did not say most. The man and his hat, an unseen right, a left that feeds a family of 5. A row of men and an idea that is shaken, without roots. I tiptoe into a room of broken shadows, a prism of each other. The mirror in the wall is the image of a rule. The convenience of comfort, repetition. Fear of the other or else. Where to find whatever it is. What is the beautiful, the meaningful, fragile paradigm of life? An aesthetic of the postmodern, ethics of the anti, condition of despair and rejection, faith in virtue. A definition, vision of what it is, should be, but is not true, truth. Observer of foreign conversations, stealing, giving new meaning to incorrect truths. Understated and forgotten presence. Peaceful, knowledgeable aura, smell of cigarette, and a voice that resembles an incongruent idea of self. Depiction of one forgotten I. Eavesdropping, space out, forget who. I am fucking late to my date. Thank you.
Echoes. Echoes in the night. They travel far away. They travel far and wide with things that once were said. These echoes never last, just voices of the past. They come and go so fast as soon as they were cast. Are echoes meant to be? Just thrown away for free. For now, there's just the sounds which pass through you and me. My name is Jonathan Hammond, and I come here from North Shore Community College. I have 2 quick poems to read. The first one is a little longer, titled Listening to Slipknot. Sitting at Life Alive, the organic chow spot in Salem, I read a brilliant hardcover, bigger than the Bible and more interesting too. A backup paperback, Khalil Gibran's classic, The Prophet, lies open. Close by, towards my left, it uses the petrified table as a bookmark. My ears, they are connected to enormous yellow headphones that are attached to a thin, black laptop. In a cast iron teapot, a turmeric ginger brew with honey zings my throat as Corey Taylor, the lead singer of Slipknot, roars chords approved by Sir Genghis Khan himself into my skull. I am the only one in the vicinity who can hear these menacing melodies, diabolical drum solos, lunatic lyrics. Corey's vehement voice sounds permanently shredded. Already, I have lost part of my hearing due to these rich and raucous inspirations, but carry zero regrets. If I ever become deaf, my memory will allow me to access these vintage cacophonies. Barring that possibility, I have no qualms with just letting that music go. For as Gibran would say, love possesses not, nor would it be possessed. And as Corey Taylor screams, I will remember before I forget. And this last piece is a haiku. It was written when I found out that Maya Angelou passed away. Butterfly effect. One touch turned a life around. Time to say goodbye. Thank you.
Hi, I'm from Pine Manor College, and my name is Carlene. And the title of my poem is Barbie. For years, I've been put together to bring satisfaction into this world, created by a society that is not realistic. I'm no role model, and yet I've won pageants and heard I want to be just like her. She's too young to understand that it's insanely impossible to be me, and yet she sticks her unhappiness down her throat so she can see what beautiful looks like. She looks into the mirror and repeatedly says, I want to be skinny. I do not like my stomach. My skin is not delicate like theirs, and so you skip meals like it's part of a ritual. You've grown weak and hungry, but everyone is calling you pretty, so you smile. I am just your imagination. You labeled me as your best friend forever, but I can't even respond to you, and if I did, I'd tell you to stop. I'm sorry you have to go through this. Society has boxed me into this image of beauty, not giving young girls the opportunity to grow and live a healthy lifestyle. I am not your role model. You should not be like me. You should not look like me. You should not hurt yourself. Take pride in the diversity of your skin tones. Show off that crooked smile. Own and embrace the way your hips sway each time you walk. Love who you are. It doesn't get any better. You see, you are beautiful just the way you are. It is time that you and every young girl step out of this boxed up world we call a society and live. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jillian Bruning. I'm from Regis College. The poem I'm going to read is called Flying Lessons. Today, the air smells like our early morning strolls. The skies face bright blue, little specks of white, and I can almost feel your hand in mine as I cross the busy streets. My feet carry me to the old playground, to the swing set where you taught me how to pump, but always pushed me anyways. I let the wind lift my hair off my shoulders. I closed my eyes and imagined I'm not alone. Imagine this playground is not barren. Your dull whistle, the swishing of your windbreaker pants, footsteps in the distance. When I open my eyes, I see your smile on the man who pushes his granddaughter, watching as she pumps her legs for the first time.
Hi, my name is Robbie. I'm from Salem State University. I'm going to read two poems. The first one is called Some Waiter from the 99. I wear my skin like a fitted sheet, like the one I've had on my bed since he left me. Since I moved here, there's no food here. When I look in the mirror, it's hard to look sexy. You say you want to take pictures of me in your jock strap. I think and imagine it looks good on me, but I don't love you or anything. What I need is to be wrung out but never dried, never dry-eyed, never bent in pain over a guy who cried about his grandmother then jacked off to nudes of some waiter from the 99. There are no screens in the windows of my new apartment. At night, the bugs come in, catch me staring at the wall again. And the other one is named after a Lana Del Rey song. It's called Brooklyn Baby. Manhattan music mute to me. I board a bus to Boston and listen to Lana Del Rey, sing each ironic line genuinely. We leave the boroughs behind. Their bustle leaves a bruise. I choose a more fitting challenge. A predictable man. Predictably, he leaves too. Jim wasn't as cool as me. He called me his Brooklyn baby. I said I was fucking crazy, and then I was. Not that I don't hear music. I hear music. In Boston, I bought a cheeseburger. South Station at 17, 12:15 in the morning. You, my fantasy, evaporating.
Hi, my name is Ryan McCartney. I'm a senior at Simmons College. I'm reading Another Family Entirely. Find my way to the train, to the seat with its unattractive next-door neighbor, to the miles and hours of track. Walk this way to the exit, to the fresh air, to the station, to the hometown, to the sweet smell of uninteresting local delis. Find me a car, find me a driver, find me a radio station without their sad music. Hello, family. You greet me so strangely. I wish I was in an ancient tribe. We'd all be dancing in red and blue war paint. Now you just look at my dark gray jacket approvingly. A hug for you, a smile for you, staring daggers for him. Mom and Dad, bless your souls, you are 45 still. You were 45 then, you are 45 still. Back in grade after 4th, I was asked for your age, and I told them the answer just as plain as I could. Mama, you're same, and your hair is the same, and your clothes, they are same, but your pearls, they have changed, and your smile is stained. Father, your mouth, it's a line like a bridge. It is unmoving still, but your eyes, they are changed. Your eyes, they are changed, and yet Mama is same. I start a talk with my hand, and my lips move up, and my lips move down, back and forth as my father puts on a record, classical. My words flow and my thoughts lose control as they strain to hear with their souls the notes that can play. My mother does not see them. I do not think she cares, but she sees that my words now have changed and they follow the bows and the keys, and her eyes are quite hurt. She is hurt by the record and her smile still stained and her clothes, they are same. Father's eyes close their lids and his mouth is still wood. Now it's my bed, but not my old blanket or clock that went tick-tock, a tock-tock-tock. I used to dance my fingers to that in infancy, but now I hear a new noise. Oh well, it's not like those ears are so young anyhow, and it's not like the alarm is so terrible. I suppose I haven't slept in 2.5 years, roundabout, but I braid my hair like a child and pretend I can smell a breakfast or two, pretend I can't feel it all dying around me, the family, the house, my memory, my old world. The ground is shaking now, and Father's songs are falling onto the record player. I could mind the shattering walls, the caving ceiling, the worlds unearthing themselves, the minds crawling from my family's fingers. But I listen to the records and finally find my old dissonance as Mozart plays with Beatles, plays with Pavarotti, plays with Dylan, plays with Ginsberg, reading aloud. And I've returned to that knowledge of when I was 4 and am profoundly wise.
Hello, I'm Dan Carey from Suffolk University. St. Paul's Episcopal Cathedral, a house of prayer for all people. Eager it stands, potential, near to those in need of something to believe. To me, it still seems distant, like the clammy hand of some great aunt you recognize but can't remember. She shook your nail-bitten fingers with all the love, all the honesty assembled in the time it takes to link family together. I could swear that place of prayer disappeared last year. It bled through the massive energies of trees whose branches feed the air we breathe, feeds you, and in turn, feeds me. October saw the regal cathedral's knees buckle at columns bursting with a peculiar colonial etiquette manifested by many a destiny. Its only protection, blankets of scaffolding steel, grinding bits of earth-toned metal. Dry-veined whispers falling from leaves were shouted yet soft as the color wheel spun in a cyclic life force represented by rainbow, thriving, dying, reviving. A burning bush in my Ipswich backyard vibrates these colors. Organic oranges, deepest, most bloody reds. Winter, thought more as wet rather than white, breathed a dark and diseased sunken city street breeze throughout homes, carrying like memories, carrying on, as people now only remembered by shadows cast at night, around corners, through alleys in which the right word seems to take flight. Feet moistened through socks dragged behind ankles dampened by puddles. Breaking point rain clouds floating within spinning tunnels through a violent yet unmistakably elegant pressure. One's canvas to live, palette to make mistakes on. That bluebird early worm sky on March mornings always hides, but shines perfectly into pupils. It can be seen when looking through one another's mindful eyes, and when we catch ourselves crying, we have once again come from sprung again spring signs. It's fitting that across the way from St. Paul's, across ancient important grass, through granite fountains whose water stays youthful forever, stands that golden dome, shield of supposed comfort, sword comprised of government ink, blots spread from red to blue to black and back. To trek from church to state, how far is it really? One's footsteps must be strategic, rhythmic across Park Street's indelible incline or decline. It depends on what one is walking toward, what one is walking away from on Tremont Street. Thank you.
My name is Robert Romero. I'm here on behalf of UMass Boston. I have a couple shorter poems for you. First one is called Techno Tyro. I razored the body from the back plate to expose ulterior insides of an iPhone. Ribbon cables, A6 processor, city skyline capacitors. Battery capacity alone shames the engine block in my 96 Buick. The barbaric don't belong sifting through circuitry, disconnecting nodes, prodding the electric landscape. We might crack the cortex, eviscerate the brain. This next one is called Everything Under the Sitco Sign. Just yesterday, I noticed students roaring down Com Ave. One boy, baited by the girl, gave her a light. She teased him, and he stretched a story. Beneath the billboard, another was hunched, crying with gift bags, groceries between her legs, edging from the bench, baited by oncoming traffic. This next poem is called Alloy Angel, and it takes place in Iraq. 3 of us were holed up in the abandoned textile museum under heavy fire, battle-rattled, absorbed in walls of woven rugs and runners. Persian carpets with roses bending and twisting along the length into tiny diamonds connecting in corners. Another, labeled Kurdish camel hair with red paisley patterns and stick figures staring at a field of horses, wild birds, more flowers. Blue and yellow embroidered bands for tying saddles to mules, singed and carbonized from white phosphorus mortars. Incoming rocket pods burst a massive mouth into the loom room, through which we saw Alloy Angel low-floating for pickup in Arbel Square. The attack Apache descended into the expanse of hellfire, trailing a cyclone of orange smoke from my gas grenade, designating land zone. The ballistic projectiles dangling from stub-wing pylons like scorching ornaments cued to seek and destroy destination. The co-pilot twisted the tail wheel, dipped the forward fuselage so the gunner could slave the chain gun, spray the insurgents, create a cover. We exited the museum bulletless, ducking crossfire in the square, sprinting to the 4-blade rotor whirring in the orange smoke. This last poem is called Northern, and this is the poem in your chapbook. In the evening, glacial canals ripping into the river clench with icebergs, gathering about the piers of the bridge. Under the frigid arches, they growl and pang like pistols into jagged shelves of ice. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Megan Foy, and I am from UMass Lowell. The first poem I'm going to read is called Appetite. The other side of the emblematic suburban backyard grew wild lilies of the valley in spring. White swimming lamps hovered in the sway of the growing foliage, attractively poisonous like the cotton ball diet. They grew in the damp shade with the bleeding hearts, green-eyed and ignored by the callow loungers in the now summer heat. They just drifted around the 28-foot pool on plastic floats, smelling sweet scents when the alabaster bells tussled. My mother always told me not to touch the lilies. The oil would fasten to the porcelain skin of slight arms and legs like ivy. Toxins would slow the beat of the heart if a blossom's held in a mouth, then laziness like the supine floaters pulled by the tidal waves of the electronic pool skimmer. I have one more too, just gotta get it up. This one is called When to See a Doctor. Oh, move it down. Alrighty. When to see a doctor. First, the bruise will look red, then purplish. Tender, it might swell. In days, it'll blue or black. In 5 to 10, green or yellow. Then brown, lighter and lighter till it fades away. The heart muscle can bruise if blunt force or pressure impacts the chest, like from crashing the car and cracking through ribs with the wheel, or from chest compressions meant to resuscitate and make you vigorous. X-rays and CT scans show gray and white blobs of blood vessels and tissue surrounded by rib cages meant to be helmets for grown-ups inside hearts and people who shouldn't fall down. Hurt hearts don't always come with outward signs of physical injury, and machines only show black masses. That's it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Selena. I'm from Wellesley College. I'm the last one. Today I have a poem, one poem. It's in 2 parts, and it's called 2 Kisses. 1. The Kiss of Life. Photograph, 1967, first seen without title, online, by me, late March 2015. Passionate, almost romantic, eyes closed and suspended from the safety harness, arms above the head as if reclining. Then the other man who cradles him, tilting his chin against the sky, overexposed, the power lines crisscrossing over it, the poles like redwoods, presses him a kiss. I think of Spider-Man. I think of VJ Day in Times Square. He touched the line that sings, 4,000 volts ran through him more than the electric chair. I look again. The way the kisser's cheek puffs out. The strange contortion in the knees, not passion, but the passion, Christ and Mary too in hard hats. He was saving him. And Rocco Morabito, who saw it from the sidewalk, thought to take a picture. 2. Picture this. The dirty futon where we first made love. And also where I drunkenly had told you, I am scared you'll marry me. I'll turn into my mother. I don't want to be a dishwasher. But you pressed kisses to my cheek and told me that you wouldn't. Picture me comfortable, pinned closely under you, testing the weight of your affection. And what else? Here I cradle you. Here my cheek touches the rough texture of yours, surface meeting surface, planes of flesh in tangent. And here we are again. That morning when you grabbed my arm and held me in the doorway, early March or February, and you said that you were just saving a memory for later. And I rolled my eyes. This is how we ended. No sudden failure, a foot that slips with nothing underneath. More like the quiet knowledge of an end existing somewhere, the anticipation of disaster quickening arrival. This is how we ended. We are on the futon. Because I know exactly what you need from me, I kiss you. Both of us are searching. I think, love me, love me, love me. Then, wake up. I love you. Love me. And then I think of nothing. And I feel your body stiffen under mine. Suddenly, we are no longer we, but you and me, the futon, and the grief of knowing what it is we meant to save was gone.